Guys, I'm back. If you watched the Hero Arts video that was right before this one, you'll know that I'm still having editing problems. I ran out of time on the app I was using, a 30-day trial to see how I liked it. I'm the type of person that wants to make sure that what I'm buying works before I actually buy it. And unfortunately, because I was having issues, I lost everything that I was editing, and I cannot access it unless I choose to pay for that program, which I'm not going to do. Not until I have the money the week after next, right before I go on vacation. I mean, obviously, I guess if this is going to be so difficult for me, I'm just going to have to suck it up and get some opinions on what's the best software, I guess, for a decent, halfway decent price range, and go with the flow. In the meantime, I didn't want to get too far behind, so watch the Hero Arts kit video right before this to finally see the ones from July. And here are the Simon Says stamped Mandys flowers kits or cards that I did for this kit, and I actually did 11. Sorry for the lighting, guys. I'm just hand holding my phone to get these videos out to you rather than use my camera. Card number 1, I just used some pattern paper from the kit and I put it on Fog, Simon Says stamped Fog cardstock as a base. And then I stamped each of these out, and these ones I think I colored, watercolored with the Arteza Real Brush pens and then spread out the color with water. I just glued those flat onto the pattern paper, but the pattern paper is popped up on foam tape. I also popped up the sentiment with love on foam tape and used one of my fishtail dies from Lawn Fawn. Although it's weird, I think it got squeezed as it was going through my machine because it kind of seems narrow as it goes, but I went with the flow, guys. And I used the blush drops to add 3 down there and 3 up here in the corner. And that's it for card number 1. Sorry to be fast, but I want to make sure I don't lose your guys' interest, but I also want to make sure I explain the card to you. Card number 2, I took the background stamp and I stamped out with Versamark that stamp and used clear embossing powder, and then I went over the background in between the embossing powder with my teal liquid watercolor from Hero Arts. But I did it by using a dropper, putting the watercolor on my glass mat, and using one of my glitter pens. I think it was the Spectrum Noir clear glitter pen, and then I used that to paint the watercolor on to my card front. I took a piece of pattern paper that looks like the old-fashioned writing, made a fishtail banner out of it, popped it up on foam tape. I stamped out thank you with that little decorative line, put some twine around it from the kit, came with the kit, and then I colored this little flower from the stamp set in my Prismacolor pencils, which I thought turned out really pretty. And then I added some sequins from, I think they were pale confetti sequins from the Easter kit this year. And that's on the pink cardstock that came in the kit. Card number 3 is a shaker card. I thought it turned out really cute. I used the tonic decorative paper that came in the kit. That's the background inside the shaker. I also cut out a couple of butterflies from one of the other pattern papers, and I put one inside there, one on the fence. The fence is glued to the outside of the acetate, and all the coloring on the flower and the fence were done with the Arteza Real Brush pens and then a water brush. This one was the hoop stamp, and I just cut the hoop off. I used the hexagon, that pale blue hexagon paper that came in the pattern paper as the background. And that's, of course, popped up on foam tape because it's a shaker, but I think I did double foam tape because mine's so thin. And then inside I used that same paper for the background and put thank you for your kindness with 3 of the hearts from the stickers that came in the kit. As you notice, there was so much going on the front that I did not put the sentiment on the front. I put it inside. Card number 4, sorry, already losing count, people. I took some pattern paper and I split it up with a piece of that decorative tonic paper. I put it on, well, see, look, a moth. I think it's cilantro green cardstock from Lawn Fawn. I used the hoop stamp, and I cut a circle in there with my Hero Arts Infinity dies. And then on the inside, as you can see, I lined it up, but I didn't think about the flower being in the way, but that's okay. You can still open it to read the whole thing, and you can still technically see what it says. There was no point in doing that whole thing over again. I used my Lawn Fawn scallop border die for the edges of those. And then on the inside it says, "For you with thanks." And then it's got some of the stickers, the hearts that came in the kit, and a couple of the other butterflies I cut out for the previous card. And then I used my wonky stitch die from Simon Says Stamp to cut out that paper. And card number 5, yes, 5, is one of my favorites. I used craft cardstock. I inked up the front, the base of the card with some vintage photo. I took the rest of that, almost the rest of that pattern paper with the words on it. I tattered up the edges of that paper, and then I inked it up with antique linen and then tea dye distress inks. I also did the same thing with the sentiment. I did it with tea dye, but I did not rough up the edges. I did cut it out with a fishtail banner. It says "Thank you for everything." And as you can see, these 4, I actually stamped them all together, and I lined up my colors. I think I used Summer Sky from Memento, and what was the pink? I think it was, I want to tell you guys the right colors. See, there's so many of them, guys, so many. Okay, it was this one, but I did it twice. It was Hollyhock Hybrid from Simon Says Stamp, Memento's Summer Sky. It was Dandelion, Sunflower Yellow from Lawn Fawn, and then pretty sure Bamboo Leaves from Memento. I had that one on as well, but I didn't use it. As you can see, I have a lot of little mini inks. So I did those, and then I split them up so that I wanted originally I had them bigger, but I wanted there to be space in between everything so you could actually see that beautiful pattern paper. And then I used some clear crystals. Yes, Studio Katya's clear crystals. And I think there's 5 of them on there. Yes, 5. And it's a simple card, but it looks really, really pretty. It looks like a lot more work went into it than what really did. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at, guys, I gotta count every card. Okay, card 6. I use a piece of cream colored cardstock. I used Barely Beige by Simon Says Stamp and stamped the base of this card with the background stamp that came in the kit. I cut this out with my Lawn Fawn rectangle dies. I keep bending these little flowers on the end. This guy was colored with my Arteza Real Brush pens. This background I did a lot of masking to put just the tulips from this jar onto the rectangle and to put the fence behind there. And I did all of that coloring with my Arteza Real Brush pens, but as you can see, I spread these colors out with water. These I did not. It was mostly color combinations. I used a little bit of both techniques with the fence, and then I just used a little bit of watercolor and a glitter marker to spread the blue for the sky and down in between the fence posts. And then I did the same thing. I used a green Arteza pen and spread that around, then just put a little sprigs of grass. I didn't want to leave that white. And then these flowers have glossy accents on them. I wrapped some twine around before I put it down with foam tape, but I did not make a bow. And then I wanted these to join. I stamped out that little 3-dot stamp from the stamp set, and then I put the blush Nuvo drops on there. And it just says thank you. That was 6, right? Okay, card 7. I really like this card. It's one of my favorites. I did this in a really stupid way. I probably could have done it in an easier way, but doing that diagonal really messed me up, guys. You should have seen me trying to measure it. I did what I had left of the blue lacy tonic specialty paper with the butterflies. And this little line here, I stamped out a metallic blue. It was actually a metallic blue ink, onto a piece of paper or cardstock, and then I stamped it out with my scallop border die from, or lacy edge border die from Lawn Fawn. And I colored this guy specifically for this card with the blues and pinks, so he's also done in the Arteza real brush pens. And then I fishtailed this, so I wanted it to come out on both sides of the flower, because the flower is raised up on foam tape and it says picked with love. And then I had these cute little pearls that I picked up at AC Moore in their dollar bin, and I'm pretty sure I showed them to you guys in the haul. And that's what I put on this little piece that separates the two main pieces of paper. And that's it. That's on craft. Okay guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 9, 10, okay, so card 8. I'm really bad, guys. My memory's really bad. Card 8, I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. I mean, it's an okay enough card. I used that blue pattern paper that reminds me of wallpaper. I put handmade stitching with a black gel pen around the edge because I didn't have a rectangle die, stitch die, that was the size I wanted to be on this card. I cut out a square using my square dot stackables from Lawn Fawn die cuts of the little teacup paper with the butterflies, and then this is a gold paper that came in a previous Simon Says stamp kit, and I cut out a smaller square with that, and I cut out the flowers from the hoop and just cut the hoop off and colored them in. If you can tell, I also cut off the little sprigs that was hanging out of that stamp. I just wanted the flowers and leaves. And I actually cut the leaves off the flowers, put the leaves on first, and then glued the flowers over the leaves because I wanted it to fit the square. And none of it's popped up. It's all one layer. I did this Miss You with a set of word dies I got from AC Moore, and that one I did 3 times. But I did this with watercolor that I did from one of the first cards in this kit, actually this one. I didn't want to waste the watercolor and glitter I had left on the mat, so I watercolor smushed, I guess you could say, a regular piece of paper in there, and then I used that for this later on. So it says Miss You, and I ran some glitter over it, and there's three Miss Yous glued together to make it a little bit thicker. And I used some of the hearts from the stickers that came in the kit, and there's a yellow one in there. And that's it for card 8. Card 9 is also another one of my favorites. It's a cilantro green card base. What the heck? I thought there was something on my card. I use that yellow bird pattern paper, which is I love. I love, love, love. I think my 2 favorite papers in this pattern paper set was the blue striped wallpaper looking one and the yellow birds. And then I cut this out with my rectangle die, stitch dies from Lawn Fawn. I stamped this guy out on it and colored it with some simple greens and yellows and brown for the pot. And then I used marigold? Ranger Marigold embossing powder for the little hearts that came in the stamp set and the little circles. I used both sides hearts, and then I put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 7 guys. I used a lot for this card. 7 of the May crystals from Studio Katia. And I just put with love, and I also did that in the yellow marigold embossing powder from Ranger, and I cut it with my fishtail die. And I did that offset a little bit, and I like the way that looks instead of always centering everything. I think it turned out really pretty, and that was a top folding card. And then card number 10, I used the other half of the pink card stack that came in the kit. I managed to cut 2 thin pieces, I think they were 1/2 inch big, of that tonic specialty paper, and lined it up. I measured it so I knew where to line up the center panel, because the center panels popped up on foam tape. And then I used some of this pattern paper, that's what's popped up, and then I cut these little squares out of the Lawn Fawn square dotted stackables dies But before I did that, I did a bunch of the hearts in pink Prisma embossing powder from the Valentine's Hero Arts kit, and then sage green from Ranger embossing powder for the little leaves that came in the stamp set. And I did that for each of them. Then I'm cut them out with the square, and I took little scraps of that specialty paper to build out my sentiment, which says, "From my heart to yours, with thanks for your kindness." And then I used the Blush Nouveau drops and centered them as best I could across both lengths of the specialty paper. And I really thought that turned out cute. And then on the inside, because I didn't want to waste anything that I had printed or stamped and colored ahead of time, I put the tulips in the glass mason jar that I colored with Prismacolor pencil in there, glued it straight down, and put a little bit of gray shading to ground it. And that's it for card number 10. I told you guys I had a bonus, so here it is. Card 11, I did on craft paper, craft cardstock. I printed out the background stamp with Rich Cocoa Memento ink, and I didn't do it perfect. As you can tell, I didn't re-ink it. I did it so it looked a little older. And then I cut 2 fishtail banners out of the pattern paper from the kit. One out of this blue one, and one out of what was left from the yellow birds I had. The yellow bird banner is popped up with foam tape, and before I put it on there, I glued my flower down, which was done in the Artesas, of course. That was a big thing for this kit. I think I just love using them now that I actually know what colors I'm using. That was my only real problem with the first set of markers. There's nothing else wrong with them. It's just frustrating to not know exactly what color you're using. Anyway, some glitter pen on the flowers themselves, glued that straight on, wrapped the twine around, and this twine's from my stash. It's a thicker twine, so I split it in half before I tied it around because I ran out of the other twine that came in the kit. Then I popped it down with foam tape, and I put my sentiment across it, which I ripped up a little bit with my paper ripper. I put some tea dye distress ink on there, and I also embossed that with the yellow marigold embossing powder from Ranger, and I just popped that up on the foam tape on the sides that were popped up from this banner, and I just left it a square. I like the way it looks. I like that it's not perfect. I like that there's some white showing. Then I used just the yellow hearts, some of the yellow hearts from the leftover from the kit. And that's it. I'm pretty sure there's nothing on the inside of this one. And that's it. That's card number 11. That's a bonus. And now I'm all caught up with you guys. And I did do a single video last night of a card while I'm waiting for another kit to come because I had a little bit of time. And let me tell you guys, it's not often that I have time to just make a card that doesn't come from ideas from a card kit. I videotaped it on my camera and then realized, duh, you don't have an editing program right now. So here, I'll just show it to you guys real quick. I used that panda set that came as a free gift with my Simon Says stamp order. I used my Heffy Doodle leaf unbelievable stencil, and I distress inked this with a bundled sage distress oxide. Then I put the stencil on, and I did the leaves of the stencil with Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn distress oxide. I colored all these guys in with my Spectrum Noir markers. Just did some simple shading, and I glued all these pieces on. The mask, they kind of look like they're going to Mardi Gras, don't they? I love the green and purple theme. His little top hat and his bow tie and his cane, and I made a little slit in his hand so that the cane would tuck underneath. Did a little light gray shadowing under their neck and around their arms, and there was some around their eyes too. You can see it on him, but hers is covered up. And I did some of the bamboo leaves behind them. And then it says, I love you more than bamboo. And that's my black 110-pound cardstock that I love from Joann Fabrics. And I did that in superfine, wow, superfine opaque white embossing powder. Is that it? Yeah. Opaque bright white superfine embossing powder by Wow. And that's what I used on that. And I popped that up on foam tape. And I put some green and purple May and June Studio Katia crystals on there because we had a green and purple theme. It's also on Fog, Simon Says Stamp Fog cardstock as a base. So that's it, guys. Sorry for all the problems with the editing. As I said in the last video, I will be doing a giveaway soon. I want to do a giveaway right before I go on vacation. We're going to Cocoa Beach. We're leaving the 24th of this month. So I'll do a giveaway. I'm also going to be doing a giveaway for my Arteza Real Brush Pen soon. Subscribe if you like what you see. Don't forget to hit that notification button to make sure you're notified of the giveaways. And until I see you, have a great time. Bye-bye. Say bye.
Bye.
My little helper.